This video is sponsored by Wallhack. More about them at the end of the video.
Keep that pump and dump online, War Daddy. You're pumping out great content, Enders. Good stuff.
Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'll be giving you guys my much anticipated, apparently, thoughts on the WARDOGS beta. I've had so many people throughout the week asking me if I was going to be playing this game on top of playing the brand new Call of Duty. And I managed to get some really good time in on WARDOGS. I played it for, God, probably 8 or 9 hours. I streamed it for a little bit, but then I played even more before I made this video. With this video in particular, I just want to emphasize these are first impressions, and if there's one thing that I've already learned playing WARDOGS is you need to take first impressions with a grain of salt, because my experience between the first time I played the game and the second time I played the game has already drastically changed. So with that being said, if you enjoy the content, guys, hit the like button, be sure to hit the sub button. Swing by the streams. I stream every single day at twitch.tv/enders and this very YouTube channel. Check out the second channel, and of course, join the Discord, ladies and gentlemen. All links are in the description. Okay, so first things first, this game is a very big departure from what I would typically play. WARDOGS is a tactical, all-out warfare shooter. From what I can tell, it is essentially an easier version of Arma King of the Hill. And I just want to answer some common questions that I think I'm going to get. So number one, does WARDOGS play like a Battlefield game? The answer to this is hell fucking no. Okay, if you're coming into WARDOGS thinking this is a Battlefield alternative, turn around, because you will be bitterly disappointed. WARDOGS is way closer to games like Arma, Hell Let Loose, Squad, that type of situation. The only things I could possibly think of that are even close to Battlefield are the revive system, maybe, and perhaps the way you progress and level up and unlock things. That's about it. Everything else is completely uncomparable. They are totally different games and play in completely different ways. The second question I think I'm going to get asked quite a bit. How was the solo experience in WARDOGS? I have to say, from my experience playing this game today, I would say this game is a play with friends only type of game. It is built from the ground up to be played with a squad of people in voice comms, actively communicating, forming plans, and moving around the map. The solo experience in this game is going to be absolutely brutal for a number of reasons. The time to kill can be blisteringly fast. The visibility is quite poor. The amount of downtime is incredibly high, especially starting out when you're just learning the game. So if you want the best WARDOGS experience possible, you're going to need friends, and yes, plural. I would recommend at least 2 to 3 friends, if not 5 or 6. Touching on some basic gameplay elements now, first starting with the gameplay loop. You basically pick one of 3 teams. Each team has about 33 people or so, and there is this giant circle on the map that you all fight over, and within that giant circle, there is a moving gold hot zone that gives you a bunch of points and extra benefits for actually fighting in. You spawn in the game, and you immediately are met with this big deployment area where you can select your kit, you can buy your weapons, your vehicles, and then there's about a 3-kilometer... and no, I didn't stutter, 3-kilometer trek from the deployment area to the objective area. So once again, just have to emphasize, playing with friends really helps a lot, because maybe one of your friends is rich and they can buy a helicopter and they can transport you to the area instead of you buying some shitty ATV and it taking multiple minutes for you to even get into the action. I have to be honest, from my personal perspective, I really don't like the amount of time it takes just to get into the action, but I just have to emphasize once again, personal perspective, right? This is personal preference. You guys see the way that I play Battlefield games, right? I play hero shooters. I like faster paced games. However, WARDOGS was actually a nice change of pace, and when I played it off stream with a little bit less of a distraction, I got to lock in with my friends and learn the game a bit more, pay attention a little bit more, and it was engaging, it was intense, and the biggest thing that made it really intense was actually the fact that you could not spawn on your squad mates during the gameplay. So if you died there were extremely severe consequences to this, which led to, like, firefights that lasted multiple minutes, crazy wraps around the map trying to flank people and making plans and all this sort of stuff. Like I said at the beginning of the video, it is a vast departure from what I'm typically used to, but I didn't hate it, and I expected to hate it. Even though I've played multiple different games that are fairly similar, like PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, I've dabbled in Arma and Squad a little bit, but I do think WARDOGS is maybe just a little bit more of an accessible version of these like sort of tactical, slower-paced, milsim, all-out warfare games. It certainly isn't in the middle of Battlefield and a game like Arma. It is way closer to a game like Arma, but some elements of the gameplay make it easier. For instance, touching on the gunplay of WARDOGS, the gunplay is extremely easy in my opinion. The gunplay is apparently based on recoil patterns from what I can tell, and if you're good at recoil control, you can beam people from alarming distance. And like I said, the time to kill is fast, so if you're accurate, people just drop. Some other elements of the gameplay that make it easier is perhaps some of the tedious actions that you would find in more hardcore milsim games. They aren't really present in WARDOGS. They have streamlined the experience a little bit. One example would be how the reload system works. In some of these more hardcore milsim games, when you reload your weapon, you will actually drop your magazine on the ground. In WARDOGS, that doesn't happen. You simply reload the magazine and it stays in your inventory. Touching on the overall combat pacing of WARDOGS, as you can probably expect, it is a slow-paced game, okay? But from my personal perspective, this might be the slowest-paced video game I've ever played in my entire life. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just trying to convey, like, my personal experience playing this game and how I view it. There's no getting around it. This is a fucking slow video game, so if you enjoy games that really stay away from, like, the Call of Duty side of things, maybe give WARDOGS a try. Touching on some irritations, I mentioned the visibility already being poor in my opinion, and I really stand by that. I tried and tried to improve the visibility using all sorts of graphics setting combinations, and I just really couldn't get it to a place where I was satisfied, and I'm trying to think if that's, intentional, because of course this is a more realistic, slower paced, more tactical milsim type of game, so there isn't spotting, there isn't like outlines around people, so of course the visibility is going to be worse than what I'm used to playing a Battlefield game. But at the same time, I also feel like just the raw visibility of soldiers in the game itself is very, very rough, and the overall game can come across as blurry and perhaps not as detailed as you would want. And another thing that I noticed that might not matter, but I feel like is worth mentioning, is some players are obviously better at the game than others, which means they're going to have more money to buy more items than other players in the game. This can lead to situations where some people can buy tanks before anyone else can buy an RPG to kill the tank. Now again, I just want to emphasize, I'm not sure if this actually matters, because of course this is a beta, and people have to play the game to get money, and at a certain point, I'm sure almost every single person on the entire server is going to have enough money to be able to counter anything that anyone can buy in the game. And while we're on the topic of the money system, which is really one of the main gameplay elements of WARDOGS that makes it unique, I have to say, I do like it. I think it's pretty unique. I think it does incentivize people to perform actions. I saw multiple people setting up home bases at the towers. I saw multiple people simply becoming a transport driver for, transporting troops back and forth. Am I slightly annoyed that I have to buy my loadout every single fucking time I die in this game? Yeah, I am. I really am, but maybe in the future they will add some sort of, loadout preset thing where it's kind of like a one click and you can just buy whatever you want. But overall, these are just my first impressions. I have to say, I enjoy the game more than I thought I would, but I think the enjoyment heavily hinges upon your friend's availability, or at least my enjoyment of the game does. I would never play this game solo. That's just me. Maybe some of you are more attracted to games like this solo than I am. But the way I see it, this game is so very clearly designed from the bottom up to be played with people in voice comms that playing it solo is kind of just masochism. These are first impressions, so there is a lot to learn with this game. I don't necessarily know how much more of WARDOGS I'm going to play because, on one hand, I like it, and I'm kind of interested in playing the game more and really learning everything. But on the other hand, when I was streaming this game, even on YouTube, in my YouTube stream, pretty much everyone was saying they were bored and they really didn't like watching it, and the overall consensus from my viewer base was they really didn't fucking like this game at all. So if you made it to this point in this video, comment down below and let me know if you want me to play this game more, and if you would be interested in me making content surrounding WARDOGS and maybe sprinkling it in alongside Battlefield. So these have been my first impressions playing the WARDOGS beta. If you enjoyed, be sure to hit the like button and hit the sub button. And now for my extended impressions on my new main mousepad I've been using for the past 2 months from today's video sponsor, Wallhack. Since I've been playing on glass for about 2 months now, I figured I would give people my perspective on switching from cloth to a glass mousepad, seeing as I've played on cloth for the majority of my playtime. And I have to say the transition was a lot easier than I thought it would be, and honestly my aim just feels smoother and like it has less resistance overall because of course I'm playing on glass. With the CR005, it is a control glass pad. So you're going to be able to have the control you're used to, but with glass glide and the smoothness of it. And for me, that is something that has always annoyed me about some particular cloth pads. They have that mud feel, that resistance. You don't get that with the CR005. So if you were ever interested in trying a glass pad, but you were afraid they're too fast, definitely check out the CR005 Control Glass Pad at wallhack.com. Use code ENDERS at checkout. Link will be in the pinned comment and the description. Appreciate you guys watching today's video, and let me know what you think about WARDOGS.